Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay in the back? This is the problem that we face in America. This is an ASPCA estimate at the top. An estimated 40 to 60% of shelter animals are actually lost pets. And lost dogs take up shelter space required by truly needy animals. Of course, the average national reclaim rate is very dismal. And there is minimal cross-communication between all of the agencies that hold lost pets. We started in 2010 and we decided we needed to focus on dogs. Just basically for those two reasons. We needed to focus on one part of the problem to make a difference. And cats have very different behavior. And it certainly doesn't mean we don't care about cats. We do very much care about cats. And that's why we're thrilled to partner with Helping Lost Pets. That helps all lost animals. But with Lost Dogs of America, we basically focus on dogs. So this quickly is our mission, very straightforward. We're probably one of the only animal welfare agencies that actually help the owner as opposed to, so we represent the owner in helping them find their pet. I always like to clarify this, what we do. We are a virtual organization. We have no shelter, we have no facility, and we are all working from home. We never have possession of the dogs, okay, so we don't go out and round up loose dogs. And we work with the owners of lost dogs and individual finders of dogs to facilitate the reunions. In Wisconsin, not in every state yet, but in Wisconsin, and I am the director of Lost Dogs of Wisconsin, so it's kind of, I'll talk about that in a minute. We've kind of morphed into a national organization. Each case that comes in is treated individually. We assign a volunteer to it to help the owner through the process of finding their dog. So just really briefly, in 2010 we started. This was one of our very first flyers. It makes me laugh now. And that dog actually was successfully recovered 4 months after she went missing. She survived a blizzard and all sorts of things in Wisconsin. But our strength when we started was helping find these really shy, elusive dogs. And then, of course, we realized it was a much bigger problem than just that. So we evolved and grew. Our number of volunteers grew. And we changed the orientation of our flyer from horizontal to vertical, but every flyer was still made by hand by a volunteer that made that in PowerPoint and posted it to our Facebook page. Very, very time consuming. So in November 2013, we partnered with Helping Lost Pets with Rob Goddard, and now with the push of a button, we can create a flyer. And we realized really early on that providing a flyer to either the owner or the finder of a dog was the number one way that lost pets were getting home. Okay, not social media, which everybody thinks, right? It's actually going out and hand delivering those flyers. In 2014, our transition for found dogs, which was the earlier slide, was so successful that in 2014, we transitioned all of our lost dogs to Rob's system. And again, the benefits were just amazing to us. We instantly create flyers. No longer did I have to have a volunteer making the whole thing in PowerPoint. It's a map-based system. Rob's going to talk about all this in a few minutes. We can now keep statistics much easier. Everybody gets email alerts, and there's all sorts of automated emails, and I'm going to leave that to Rob. So this is our goal, and I don't know if this makes sense when you first look at it, but so we received a lost dog report for this dog, Lacey, from the owner. And on that same day, we received a found dog report for the same dog. So within a couple of minutes, that dog was matched. And the dog never had to go to a shelter. It never had to take up space. Okay? But you can see that if it had not had a photo, that match might not have been made. Right? This, I guess I could use my little pointer here. The owner said it was a collie mix. They didn't know. Female was okay. They described as young. The finder described as adult. Both said large. The owner said tan and white. The finder said brown and white. They said the hair length was short, and they said medium. But the photo, and the location, of course, helped us quickly say, oh, that's the same dog. So we have grown fast and furious, okay? In 2015, our affiliates helped reunite over 30,000 dogs, and we're well on track to do that again this year. So you can see Some of the newer states, as we take states on board, of course, don't have as many reunions. But as the state organizations get established, they quickly grow. So here's Texas, reunited 5,043 dogs in 2015. So as we've gone along and we were able to collect some data and look at it, we help every owner profile their dog and try to figure out what could have happened to their dog, okay? And this is what we have found, okay? 10% of those dogs are deceased. We'll talk about that in a minute. 30% of them are still out there living on their own, and they will end up in an animal shelter or animal control facility probably at some point. 40% are kept by the finder, rehomed. That's our biggest problem right now. And 20% end up in a shelter, and they're either adopted out to a new home or put down in the shelter. Causes of death, 60% hit by a car, 20% drown, and that's usually up in the north anyways, falling through thin ice. 10% hit by a train, very, very common. Most people don't think of that, but it's very common. And then the 10% is the other. And the reason I wanted to, the thing that I think is significant about the 10% other is that the things that people, when they've lost their dog, that automatically assume, oh my God, this and this and this happened to my dog got eaten by a coyote, my dog got carried off by a hawk, or whatever, almost never happens, okay? But the problem with the people believing that that is what happened is that it causes them to give up hope, and then they give up looking for their dog. So many deaths caused by well-meaning people, chasing or pressuring the dog. The first three fall into that category. The dogs hit by a car, hit by a train, or drown is usually caused by somebody chasing the dog. And again, chasing dogs causes them to make poor decisions. But by educating the public, we lower these numbers. So the greatest risk to shy lost dogs is that they will be chased into traffic and injured or killed. It's a very sad fact. The greatest risk to a lost friendly dog will be they'll be kept by the finder, rehomed, or put down before the owner can locate them. Just really briefly, this is pretty basic, but we do have a lot of people ask us why there are more lost dogs now, and it's because we're saving more dogs than ever before, which is great, right? But unfortunately, a lot of these dogs are very shy, under-socialized dogs. Pet store dogs are often pushed into the pet store by 6 weeks of age, which means they were usually taken away from their mother at 5 weeks of age, and they are often under-socialized. And they miss that important bonding time with their mothers and litter mates, and are very shy because of that. We have many more vulnerable moments. In Wisconsin, not a week goes by where we don't have a dog go missing from a transport or a shelter or a foster home. But this all adds up to high flight risk dogs, and adoptions are increasing, again, which is great, but many of these dogs are flight risks. I mean, for many owners, this is their first time owning one of these shy dogs because they wanted to adopt, right, which is a great thing. But they end up with a dog that may be a high flight risk dog, and they've never had one before. So time is of the essence. The longer it takes to find a dog, the higher the chance that the owner will become frustrated and emotionally detached. The finder will become emotionally attached to the dog and will not look for the owner, or the owner won't be able to afford the reclaim fees. This is very, very common. The family or friends of the owner will encourage them to give up. That is also very common. The pressure put on the owner of the dog by family and friends to give up searching for the dog, especially when the search may go on for more than a week or two, is very high, and that owner may not want to give up, but they're encouraged by people to give up. Finding your lost dog is expensive. Printing costs, supplies, gasoline. One of the things that we see an awful lot is the shelters say, you've got to come down to the shelter every day to check to make sure your dog's not there. That sounds really good, right? But it sounds like that's like a no-brainer. Yeah, the owner should come down every day, but that dog could be in one of 5 different shelters, and now pretty soon they can't afford the gasoline to drive to all the shelters, and they can't afford the time off work, and the pressure from their boss to give up can often become huge, or they'll lose their job. What we say is there's many good people in America who love their pets, but they live paycheck to paycheck. So the strays in animal shelters are usually, we find, dogs that have been given up on too soon. They've wandered across their jurisdiction borders or have been taken to the wrong shelter. That's very common. A Good Samaritan may pick a dog up and say, oh, I don't want to take it to that shelter over there because they kill too many animals, so I'm going to drive it halfway across the state to this shelter that my friend works at that I know is really good, right? They're shy and finally wander into a farmyard, thin and hungry, and then they're assumed to be dumped, right? And this may be months after they've been lost. Or they fall into the multitude of cracks caused by the following problems. And I just have to say that I put that cute little picture up, but we have a shelter in Wisconsin that's putting pictures of that, like that, up when they get impounded dogs in, and those pictures go viral, and almost always the owner is found, okay? This is number one, again, leading into what Rob is going to talk about. There's no 911 for pets, like there's for when a child was missing. I think it's like this in most states, but it's, in Wisconsin, where we're able to collect a lot of data because we've been in existence for a lot of years, we have stray holding contracts held by all kinds of entities. We have grooming facilities that have the stray hold contract. We have independent contractors that hold the dogs in their garage and have no microchip scanner or no computer. And the public often does not know where to look when their dog goes missing. So, like, I do this every day, so I know where I live. If my dog went missing, he could end up in one of 5 different stray holding facilities in a very easily. So dogs are not like wallets or car keys. When you drop them, they stay, right? Where you lost them, they walk. And so it's very easy for dogs to cross jurisdiction lines. Of course, shelter policies and logistics prevent reclaims. And every time there's some confusion about the shelter policies, the fee tends to go up. So it's very common in Wisconsin for reclaim fees to be $150 for the first day, and by the end of 3 or 4 days, somewhere between $300 and $400. Of course, there's physical limitations, okay? We're all very social media savvy and stuff here, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't, right? Disabled, elderly, they might not have a computer or the internet. They might not have transportation to even pick up their dog once they figure out where it is. Or by the time they arrange to get a ride to pick their dog up, they can't afford the reclaim fee anymore. This is really large again. We talked about the discouragement from untrained people, family, and friends. And then there's, of course, many language barriers. And again, so by the time they figure out the whole system, because there was a language barrier, it may be too late. Their dog may already have been adopted out, their dog may have been put down, or they may not be able to afford to pick the dog up. This is just really, common sense. We want to decrease our shelter populations, decrease stress and sickness in the shelter. Increase goodwill in the community is huge, right? If you can post those happy pictures of reunions, that will really change your image in the community. And that's kind of what we encourage shelters to do when they do get a happy reunion, is to take that picture and post it on Facebook. And the public loves that. Shelter has 2 windows of opportunity to help people find their pets: when the person who has lost their pet comes in or calls to file a report, and when stray dogs and cats are picked up and impounded at the facility. So you have a lot of opportunity there to help those people. So this is just a lot of text, right? And I just put the slide in because there is many ways. I'll just quickly go through them, but I don't have the time to go through each thing. A lot of them are really common sense, and you're probably doing them already. But post photos of every impounded stray online. Scan every animal brought in using best microchip practices, which means that you don't scan a cat or a dog on a metal exam table, right? That's anything. Anytime you're scanning near a metal object, or you're scanning a dog with a metal collar on, or you're scanning near a computer or a metal door frame, you're risking missing that microchip. Again, helping lost pets, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's see there. Detailed records about where the animal was picked up can really help. We have volunteers or staff members compare lost pet reports with impounded animals, and then volunteers can monitor other internet and community lost pet reports. And then scan every animal one last time before adoption, transfer, euthanasia. Again, using those best microchip practices. Are the batteries fresh? You know, are you away from any metal objects? But all those changes up there, we're just asking today if you could only make one change. Ask every owner of every lost pet to fill out a report with Helping Lost Pets. Because then if we have all the lost reports, at least all the lost reports are in one place. Help your community make a paradigm shift. We love this quote. We use this a lot because we got this a few years ago. These 2 pages, and this was when we were just Illinois and Wisconsin, have changed my view completely of stray dogs. I always thought the dogs who came in as strays to local animal control and shelters were dumped, forgotten, left behind dogs. And to see how many dogs have made it home on these 2 pages alone proves how changing our views of this issue makes all the difference in keeping families together and eliminating dogs from being killed by a shelter. So I just put this down too. I know that we don't always agree, our views always don't align with the ASPCA on some things, but I was so pleased, because we've been working on this for 6 years. I was so pleased to see the ASPCA come out with this position statement last year on lost pets. And this is really the first time a national organization has addressed the issue and kind of said, this is what shelters need to be doing. So the whole text is at that link, but again, just some really basic things that can help get lost pets home. I like their shelters should be authorized and encouraged to reduce or waive redemption fees. Shelters must provide clear notice regarding their policies, and they must provide public notice of stray animals entering the shelter. So some other things that shelters can do to help us out and help the owners out: choose your microchip provider wisely. Okay, there's a lot of competition in the microchip companies, and these are the things your microchip provider should be providing you with when you buy your microchips. They should include free enrollment for those microchips. They should participate in the AHA database, which is the American Animal Hospitals Association database. They should have a 24-hour call center with live operators. I had a call the other day from an animal control officer who was super frustrated because she had the dog in her car. She wanted to return it to the owner. It had a microchip. She'd scanned it, and she'd been on hold for 45 minutes with the microchip company trying to get information. And then she had no choice but to take that dog to the shelter, and she could have taken it straight home. Make sure that the microchip you use has a unique manufacturer code so it's easy to track down. And make sure it's a reputable company. These are just some of our challenges. I had my 5-minute warning here, so I got to be quick. Lack of use of available centralized database. Rob's going to talk about that. Shelter software that will not allow Rob's system to pull info into his system. The prevalent rescue mentality that strays need a new home when they really don't. They need to go home. Bad information being spread, which causes owners to give up too soon. Like I said, you know, the coyote thing and all that. That really doesn't happen all that often. This is big predatory lost pet services and microchip companies who mislead owners. I'm going to talk about that really quickly. Of course, the confusion of all the lost pet groups and stuff now that aren't using any sort of centralized system. Shelters that do not post photos online. And then, of course, all the microchip issues. That could be a whole other presentation. So I just wanted to just give you when I talked about predatory companies, I just wanted to point this out. So this dog came into a Wisconsin shelter, had a microchip, totally up to date. Everything was up to date. The address was right, the phone number was right. Should have been an easy one, right? The shelter staff made an honest mistake. They knew it was a PetLink chip. They put PetLink in the Google searchy box up there, and the first thing that popped up said PetLink, but it actually, when they clicked on it, went to PetKey, which is claiming to be a free microchip registry, and the dog was not listed in that registry because it's just a really, they're just trying to get going, right? They're a company that is doing this a lot and are trying to get dogs into their registry, so they're trying to make people aware. But so then they called us and said, well, we've got this dead-end microchip. Well, it wasn't a dead-end microchip at all, and the dog was home within a couple hours. But they were ready to give up because they thought they had reached a dead end. This was a publicized case a few weeks ago. This dog was listed with our Florida affiliate, Lost Dogs Florida. The microchip was claimed to be a dead end, but yet a simple search brought up the current information, the owner information. The shelter claimed that they had to put the dog down because he was turning to the left or whatever. And she had said that on the report. She had said that he special needs and turns and circles a lot. The owner had filed that report, and this created a ton of negative press for that shelter. It was actually reported on people.com. Okay? And if they had only looked in our database, look, my 1-minute warning. And then a lot of people will say, okay, microchips are cost prohibitive. Every dog should have a microchip and keep it up to date, and then the problem will be solved. But unfortunately, microchips are still cost prohibitive in a lot of parts of the country. So people think to go to the vet for a microchip, not always their shelter, and they have to pay often over $100 for a microchip. And most people have multiple animals, so it's a luxury. I just threw these couple slides in because this is something that's really starting to bother me a lot. We tell people that they should always keep a collar and a ID tag on their dog. And what sort of message are they seeing in our media, in our magazines every month? All these cover photos of dogs. This one down here. Whoops, that one down there at the bottom. That's actually an ad for a vet clinic, right? So please, when you put out Facebook posts or whatever, make sure that you have collars and tags on the dogs that you show pictures of. How can we help? We have a new group of volunteers that will help track down dead-end microchips. It's free. We're passing out cards. You simply go to that website, fill out a form, and our volunteers will help. And we have a lot of free training. And I'm going to turn it over to Rob now. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. Well, my name's Rob Goddard, and I'm the founder of HelpingLostPets.com, and I'm very pleased to be here today to let you know about what my contribution to the no-kill movement is all about. I want to take just a moment, tell you a little bit about myself, tell you a little bit about, well, why did I start Helping Lost Pets? Well, I was doing pet rescue for about 12 years, and I kept getting emails from people, have you seen my pet? Oftentimes, pet owners will reach out to pet rescues and obviously shelters, but it's very hard when someone sends you an email and they're about 400 miles away. Probably you haven't seen their pet, and I knew at that point we needed something better because they wouldn't have been contacting me if they really had a good system. So I started to do some research, and I talked to some rescues and some shelters to see how they were doing, and I looked on the internet to see what was available. And I could go in my area and see every house for sale that I might want to buy, but there was no map that I could find that would show pets missing in my area. And I knew that location was such a valuable piece of information. So I set about to build the website. I'd been a software developer for 30 years, so I was very fortunate that I had the technical knowledge and also the passion for animals. And I put the two together, and in 2010 I launched HelpingLostPets.com. What makes us different? And this is something that I really, really want to emphasize because there are so many solutions out there. And yes, my website is good, but there's other good ones out there as well. But what makes my website very unique among all the other players out there is we partner with groups across the country. So we have our biggest partner, Lost Dogs of America. We have chapters from Lost Dogs of America that use our website in almost 30 states now. We have cat groups that join our site and use it. We also have groups in certain states that look after all pets. And that's what makes the difference. You know, it's that volunteer help. Many people tell me that what kept them going was they knew they had somebody on their team helping them. So our mission is to provide one website where every lost and found pet is listed. We include listings from the public, from shelters, humane societies, animal control agencies, veterinarian clinics. It's free and it's national. And it's also not just in the US, it's also in Canada, and we do get listings from other parts of the world as well. And that map there shows you the reds are lost pets, and the yellows are found pets, and I think that's all on that map there. But you can see how, look at Texas, how many pets are listed. Why a national website? Well, pets don't know where county or state borders are, and often end up in the wrong shelter. And oftentimes it may be because they traveled to another county and someone picked them up and took them to that shelter because they found them near that shelter, or it could be because someone picked them up and took them to that shelter. Pet owners face a massive task of trying to find where they should list and worry that they missed one. Imagine your pet's missing and you've just spent a whole day searching the internet for all these places that you should list. Craigslist and, Helping Lost Pets and, 20 other different sites. But then you go to bed and you lie awake all night because, what if I missed one? What if I missed that one website where my pet is listed as found? And believe you me, if you go on Facebook right now, you can find thousands of Facebook pages across the country. And what we need to do is get everybody on the same page, working together. Now, we believe every pet should be microchipped and tagged because if a pet is microchipped, their chances of getting back home are greatly increased. But you can't scan a pet's microchip if they're running down the side of the road. And sometimes a pet gets scanned and it's missed. And people are less likely to pick a cat up that's wandering in the neighborhood and take them somewhere to get scanned. So for our cats, yes, we must have them microchipped, but we have to realize that a microchip is not as effective for cats as it is for dogs. Help makes a difference when it's widely used in the community. This is a shot of shelter in Walton County, Animal Control in Walton County, Georgia. And it got a quote up there. I have to give you a compliment on how well this has worked for us. The majority of lost and found reports are now coming through your site. There have been several days I come in, get the email alerts, and then that dog comes in the shelter later in the day. And that's from the director of Walton County Animal Control, Bill Wise, and they've been using our system now for about 2.5 years. Lots of different reunions have happened simply because they do list their pets online with us that are in their shelter. And this is a sample. I was actually down in that area last year, and I went into the shelter, and you can see there's a cute little dog there in the back in his kennel, and they actually print the flyer. That's right there. They stick it up beside the kennel there, and that flyer is actually online. People can print it, they can post it. So it really increases for them and any shelter that uses the site the visibility of pets that are in their shelter and gives them a better chance to get home. Another side note that he also said to me was, everybody has dogs in their shelter that are a little bit harder to get a home for. They've passed their stray hold, no one's come to claim them. Maybe they're a big dog, maybe they're a small dog, maybe with some issues. Whatever the case, there's always some dogs you're going to have. So what he told me was that when he posts the found one online, he's already getting interest for people that might want to adopt. And that's true. Now you've got an extra few days while that dog or cat is on stray hold to find someone that might want to adopt them if the owner doesn't step forward. Pet businesses and other organizations join our site. Pet stores, groomers, trainers, daycares. When someone finds a dog or a cat, they look for the closest business or vet clinic or shelter, whatever, that they're going to see. So if they're driving down the road and they see a pet groomer, that's where they're going to take that dog to. And if everybody was on one site and knew about it, look at how many more pets would get home. I talked a little bit about volunteers earlier, and volunteers really do make a difference. So hats off to all the volunteers that make a really big difference every day. Thousands of people are helping pet owners to get pets back home, and giving them a better way to match up lost and found pets is going to make more pets get back home. So when a pet is listed with us, there's many different templates that you can choose. So there's one that's got the tear-offs if you want to put it up in a store or something. A nice one here that's good for Facebook. You can print 4 on a page. These are great for cutting up and handing out to your neighbors if your pet's missing. And it's true, flyers, hey, it's a high-tech age, isn't it? But flyers are still the #1 way that pets get home. Also, when a pet is listed with us, we put that pet on Twitter. So we tweet every single pet. And when I did this slide earlier in the week, 622,000 tweets have gone out since our Twitter account was established. And if you go and look at our Twitter feed, you can just see how actually widely used our system is. Pets from all over the country are coming onto that Twitter feed, sometimes 5, 10 a minute even when it's busy. And the other thing that we do is we send out email alerts to our members in the area. Now, fortunately, we don't have to do them all by hand here by my dog here, Layla. But we do get them out right away. It's all automated, and those emails go out to our members in the area. Now, that might be shelters. It might be vet clinics. It might be people that have lost a pet. It might be volunteer groups. It's everybody. We're a community, everybody. We've got to come together to solve this problem, and we can. We also give you buttons on your listing. So, we talked a little bit earlier about flyers are really important. Absolutely they are. They work. But so is microchipping, and so is tagging your pet, and so is using Facebook and Twitter. The more things that you give, the more tools pet owners have, the more likely they will find your pets. Pets get home every day because of Facebook, absolutely. They get home because of flyers. So we make it easy for them. We give you a share button right on the listing. We give you a share button to Google+, to Pinterest, and one that you can tweet if you've got a Twitter account. And this is where the real power of help comes in. Because, again, we partner with so many groups across the country. This is the Facebook page of our partner here in Texas, Lost Dogs of Texas. And I'm real pleased that Marilyn, the director of Lost Dogs of Texas, is right here. So anybody, if you're in Texas, you have an amazing group of volunteers right in your state that are helping dogs to get home. We have a cat page going in Texas as well. And I think they're up to about 55,000 likes or so. Very, very useful tool for people. And, it's not just about that, okay? It's also about the information that they pass on to pet owners. I mean, I see them lots of times. They edit photos to make them look better. They might crop out children if they're in the photos because we don't want children. They really do a super fantastic job. I can't say enough. And that's really, when you get right down to it, the success of my website is because of groups like Lost Dogs of Texas and all the other volunteer groups out there. But a key feature of the system is the map. Location is so vital to finding a pet, and also the timing. Now, if every single pet went missing within, and was found within, say, a day or, in the same neighborhood, then you wouldn't need a website because you could just go and pick them up. But it's because they go missing for so long. It's because that, they might not be found for months. It's because they might be found many miles away that a map is so important. So you can search the entire country by breed, size, age, or other parameters. And the one thing you got to remember is when you move the map around or change your parameters, always click that green search button at the top. I decided to look at Chihuahuas. Very popular dog here in Texas. And on our map, we have 1,536 adoptable Chihuahuas, 540 lost, 237 found How many of those 1,500 Chihuahuas actually have a home? Well, according to what we heard earlier with Lost Dogs of America, likely half. And that is so true. We've got to do a better job to get lost pets, lost cats, and other pets back to their home so that we can get to no-kill faster. Now, we also have adoptable pets on our site, as you just saw a moment ago. So you can create flyers for adoptable pets. And the reason I wanted to put adoptable pets onto the site, 2 reasons. First of all, if your dog or cat's over the stray hold, you need to be looking at adoptable pets when you're trying to find your pet online. So we are, I believe, the only website that offers the ability to search for found, found deceased, adoptable, sightings, and found pets from shelters and the public, all with one query, all on one map. That's what makes the difference. So you can search the entire country, or you can search your neighborhood. Finding cats is so much easier. Let's face it, if I saw a cat outside right now, I could go on my website and I could look and see every cat that was listed in this area. And we know that cats don't go very far when they go missing. So the ability to see every lost cat within your little area really shoots up your chances of finding the owner if you've got a found cat. Now, we've got a new group we just launched a couple months ago called Help Matchmakers. And my goal here is to get hopefully 500 volunteers, maybe 1,000. Maybe we'll get lucky, we'll have 2,000. But can you imagine if you had 500 people online looking for pets to match them up? I can tell you right now, people are doing that already. I didn't invent this. I'm just trying to get them all to realize that if all the pets were on one website, look at how many more matches would happen. A lot. Because there are hundreds of people right now scanning Craigslist, scanning all these other websites to try and match up. So that's what we need to do, is get them going. Now, I want to tell you a little story about one that I had, that I was successful in matching up. And this is Star. She was lost in Euless, Texas on January the 3rd. She was found on January the 5th, just 2 days later. But here's where this one went sideways. Star wasn't listed on our website as lost. The finder couldn't see the listing. The finder held Star for a couple of days and took her to the shelter. It was 30 days later that the owner saw the found listing still on the website, tried to contact the finder and didn't get through to her, but contacted me right away. And I asked her to send me a photo. And I looked at the photo and I looked at the found and I thought, boy, that dog really looks like Star. And sometimes there's a very unique marking. In this case, it was the nose. And I knew that was likely Star that had been found. So I got a hold of the finder and put them in touch. And the finder had taken her dog to a shelter, gave her the shelter's information. The owner called the shelter. Did someone bring a border collie in, black and white, back in early January? No, we don't have that dog. And the owner contacted me quite disappointed, and I thought, okay, something's not right here. Now, because I know what I know, I do this, I know that you have to see a photo. In fact, I had told the owner, you really need to go to the shelter to see if your dog is there. But she just called. I emailed the shelter the photo of Star. 30 minutes later, they emailed me back and said, we've got that dog here. Well, I was quite thrilled especially when I got the notice back from the owner that she had her dog back home. And I was even more touched when her uncle emailed me and said, thank you so much for helping, because my niece was so distraught for the last 30 days. And you know what happened? Her dog, she put up flyers. She flyered for 10 miles. Her dog was found 12 miles out. So that's one dog that I was really thrilled that I could help to get back home. I don't think Star would have gotten back home if I hadn't have intervened. Organizations are visible on our map as well. We want the public to know where shelters are. We want them to know where the vet clinics are. again, it's about working together. So you can do a search and you can just look for shelters in your area. And, I talked about Walton County a little bit earlier, and that's their listing right there, and that's where they are. And they get every single listing for a lost or found pet in their county. And you can set your shelter up exactly the same. City of Hamilton in Ontario, Canada was the first major shelter to use our website. This is a shot of their website. You can see down here, they direct everybody to list with us. They don't take paper reports over the phone anymore like they used to. Same with many other shelters. We have an automatic feed with them 3 days, every 3 times a day we get a live feed. You don't need binders anymore. Binders are, old technology. Get them online and you can search them really fast. Here's another tool here that we give for shelters so that once they were into the site, they put a little plug-in on their website so everybody can see. And, you can set yourself up for location-based alerts if your pet's missing, so you get alerted for founds. And, target it by area, status, filters on species, all kinds of things. People are not removing or updating their listing. How many times have you gone online and saw a listing for a pet that's already home? People are sharing it every day. Everybody's wasting time sharing listings when pets are already home. We need to focus on pets that are still missing, not the ones that are back home. So we send people emails and say, is your pet still missing? And when they let us know, we update the status, and then we alert everybody that the pet's back home. So far this year, over 25,000 pets listed with us got back home. We don't count the reunited pets because we don't know whether they're a match with the lost, because then it really only counts as one. So this is only the back homes. And if you added in all the reuniteds, we'd be up over 40,000. Improving your return to owner rate will save more lives, and it's a fact. Reuniting pets is the easiest and most cost-effective thing your shelter can do right now to increase your return to owner rate. Can helping lost pets and Lost Dogs of America make a difference? Well, since joining and using Helping Lost Pets, our RTO rate has gone from about 20% to over 80%. That was from the director of Gwinnett County at the time, Chip Moore, and I was really pleased to hear that number. Now, I know they did other things too, and your shelter has to do other things. But he did say to me, if there's one thing a shelter should do, it's this. And this was a shot when we were down at our Best Friends Conference. I thought it was a good one to close with. Oftentimes in animal welfare, don't you feel like you're getting pushed and pulled all at the same time? It's true. But you know what? Let's work together and let's get more pets back home. Because you know what? Most pets don't need a new home that are lost. They just need to get back home. Thank you, everyone.